My mother might just be the most famous crier on the internet. In July of 2023, I posted my college decision reaction video.
What?
The moment that confetti rained down and the words congratulations popped up on the screen, my immigrant mom burst into tears, screaming, "Olivia, you got into Harvard!" She then jumped up to hug me as if I had won gold in the Olympics. That video went viral, amassing 25 million views on TikTok. Now, when we walk into grocery stores, strangers come up and ask her, "Hey, aren't you that crying Harvard mom?" Now, while I'm sure that's not what she wanted to become famous for, in that moment, her tears captured something raw, something universal. A dream realized, a journey that had once felt impossible, made possible. That is the power of social media. It connects people, captures hearts, and shines a light on triumphs and vulnerabilities alike. But while social media was able to capture that exciting moment in my life, it failed to capture one of the hardest periods. In late elementary school, my elementary school teacher and grandfather were diagnosed with cancer. My elementary school teacher was one of my closest confidants, as we spent every day after school together for hours as my mom worked late. Even in middle school, I would still make a point to visit. My grandfather lived in a very rural part of China called Xi'an and had limited treatment access. When I would visit him over the summer, I held his frail hand, urging him to eat. I read him books by his bedside, trying to ease some of the pain. I even decorated his hospital walls with artwork, trying to replace the drab white color with art. A few months later, when I was 7,000 miles away, back in the United States, I drew close to 100 pieces of artwork to try to sell to my classmates to fundraise for his treatments. But despite my best efforts, I only raised a few $100s. It confused me. Cancer didn't seem urgent to those around me. This disease that had taken such an emotional toll on my family went unnoticed by others. As time passed, cancer slowly spread throughout his body, and he passed away. 2 months later, my elementary school teacher passed away from breast cancer. At 13 years old, I'd lost the two most important people in the world to me. Their deaths destroyed me. But in those dark moments of grief, I also found purpose. In 2019, as a freshman in high school, I founded Cancer Kids First, a nonprofit dedicated to honoring my grandfather, an elementary school teacher, and helping other patients and families navigate the uphill battle against cancer. A ragtag group of 3, my officers and I pulled all-nighters crafting a mission and vision for Cancer Kids First. For the first year, our efforts were scrappy. Picture this: scrawny teenagers baking cupcakes to sell at local businesses and running around schools pasting up flyers on bulletin boards to try to get people to volunteer. We toiled for every cent that we could get, and we celebrated every milestone, no matter how small. Then, the pandemic hit, and like every other Gen Z kid, I turned to TikTok. But I didn't just scroll. I studied. What kind of videos made people pause and think after watching? What kind of videos tended to go viral? I enlisted the help of a few fellow high school students who had previously gone viral to make videos for our organization. By posting realistic ways that high school students could get involved and the patients that they'd be impacting, we amassed 4 million views in under a few weeks. Soon enough, resources, volunteers, and donations began pouring in from all corners of the world. Strangers became allies in our fight. It was amazing. 5 years later, at 19 years old, I now lead the world's largest youth-led cancer organization, uniting 40,000 volunteers in 80 countries. I mean, it's crazy if you think about it. We started from this small team of 3 in Virginia, and we've now been able to mobilize 40,000 people in one cause. And how? Because of the power of social media. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the critiques about social media. Raise your hand if you've ever had a parent, teacher, or mentor say to you, "My God, that phone is going to rot your brain." Right. And if you're the parent saying this to your kid, you'll actually be happy to know that there is a little bit of truth to what you're saying. According to a 2023 US Statista survey, teenagers spend an average of 4.8 hours every day on social media. That's a 2-hour increase from years prior. I mean, the government even tried to ban TikTok for an impressive 12 hours. But we don't need to see social media as a villain. It can be a tool, and a transformative one, at solving some of the world's most pressing problems. When I was spending every spare moment in between classes trying to sell artwork to fundraise for my grandfather, I wasn't unsuccessful because I didn't try hard enough. It was because we humans are, well, stupid. Now, before you guys cancel me, let me clarify. The human mind is cognitively limited. In an effort to maximize space and save brain power, we developed cognitive shortcuts. Robin Dunbar is an evolutionary psychologist who developed perhaps one of the most famous cognitive shortcuts, called Dunbar's number. He predicted that humans could only maintain stable relationships with 150 people at a time. That is a mere 50 millionth of the global population. Last semester, I took a class at Harvard called The Economics of Development and Global Health, which connected solving Dunbar's problem with global issues. There, I was introduced to this concept of salience, which explains humans' finite ability to remember and track information. Empathy is intertwined with salience. We care most about what feels personal, because with our limited memory space, we prioritize problems that are facing us and those around us. For example, every 8.5 seconds, a child dies from a treatable disease. It would cost as little as $200 to save one life. But despite this, many individuals instead compete for $500 Taylor Swift concert tickets, instead of donating that money to save a life. And now listen, I'm not hating, I also love Taylor Swift. But the problem lies in the fact that Americans know more about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship than the amount of funding needed to avert millions of deaths globally. And why? Because the faces of those children are not salient to us. High salience creates a large response and resources for global issues, while low salience results in continuous suffering. Social media changes that. It makes global problems personal. Take a look at GoFundMe, for example. Campaigns with personal stories and pictures generate exponentially more funding than those with just statistics. When you post a picture of someone and you assign them a life story, that individual becomes a part of the audience's Dunbar's number, or part of that 150 people whose lives that they can now keep track of. I want you to think about it this way. Let's say you were given 2 fundraisers to donate to, fundraiser A and fundraiser B. Fundraiser A shares 50% of the world's population is vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Fundraiser B tells you John and Molly recently lost their home in the LA Palisades fire. They're struggling to find shelter and struggling to support their 3-year-old daughter, Penny. Can I get a show of hands of who would rather donate to fundraiser A or fundraiser B? Exactly. And history proves it too. In fact, in the 1980s, the AIDS movement quadrupled global health funding by sharing before and after pictures of patients. Salience works. And social media gives you that opportunity to create salience. You don't need to be famous, and you don't need a big budget. All you need is a story that matters. I've constructed a 3-step process on how you can use social media to change the world, right from your bedroom. Step number 1, identify an issue that you care about. It can be a local problem or one facing populations halfway across the world. You can look to social media for inspiration or reputable news sources like the Wall Street Journal. You can even go into your community and talk to diverse individuals to learn about their life experiences and problems that they might be facing. No matter what issue you choose to tackle, ensure it is something that you genuinely care about and believes needs more attention. Step number 2. Study the algorithms and platforms and content creators who have previously gone viral that are in your niche. Think about what kind of timing generates the most engagement, or what hashtags can help boost content. Tools like the TikTok Creative Center and Instagram Explore page can help you analyze these algorithms. Step number 3. Create and share. Consider using one person to represent and be the face of the problem that you are trying to solve. Turn data points into individual stories. Include pictures, videos, even your own personal voice to connect people to the problem. Social media has revolutionized the way that I advocate for childhood cancer awareness. Over the past few years, I've been able to travel to underserved regions of the world, like Indonesia, where I met patients Stella and Kinayu, 5-year-olds whose parents could hardly afford basic necessities, much less chemotherapy. Or Colombia, where many of the patients there had lost their parents to drug overdoses. For me, real-life examples of cancer are all around me. But for most others who don't witness these problems up front, these devastating effects go unnoticed. Social media bridges the salience gap. By posting video and photo content of the work that my team and I have done abroad, focusing on one country or one patient at a time, Cancer Kids First has raised enough money and attracted enough volunteers to help 10,000 patients in 22 countries. Today, my videos have amassed over 30 million views, bringing attention to childhood cancer and empowering a younger generation of leaders to step up. I want you to think about the problem that keeps you up at night, the problem that you wish you could just shout about until the entire world listened. Social media is your microphone. By using Salience to create social media content, you have the opportunity to make your problem everyone's problem. So, step into the spotlight, say, lights, camera, action, and watch how you too can change the world. Thank you.